Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Game Junk Podcast, episode 266, recording on Monday, March 23rd, 2026. My name is Frank.
My name is Sean.
And my name's Andrew.
And on this week's show, we'll be talking about I think it's safe to call it a Megaton. It might be even bigger than a Megaton.
Is it a Megaton or is it a debacle?
It's both combined. We need a term for that. A Megaton. It's enormous. It's changing everything. People are losing their minds discussing DLSS 5, and we're going to weigh in and maybe be more controversial than anyone has been yet. So you've got to stay tuned to hear that. And we'll also get into some stuff we played, including I played Death Howl. What have you guys played?
Death Howl? Is that
Death
a game?
Howl.
Death Howl.
Oh, Death Howl. Oh, I've heard good things about that. Toxic Commando, obviously.
Oh,
touch
yeah.
on that.
John Carpenter's Toxic Commando. And
I played a little game called Uncharted Drake's Fortune. You know, that new release.
yeah, my number one game of all time. And I'll be getting into some big drama between me and Marathon. Whew. I am not happy, but we'll get there. How you guys doing? Anything else you need to discuss or mention?
I'm just going to mention, a little crossover. This is one of my favorite times of the year. This past week that just went by. It's March Madness. And Ball Junk crossover. I'm still waiting for the March Madness invite for the biggest Ball Junk March Madness fan in the Film Junk universe. Still no invite. I don't know where it is, but it's been 15 years now. Come on.
Well, I don't think we've ever talked about it because
You never talked about March Madness on Ball Junk.
I couldn't care less about it. I don't even.
My goodness.
I mean, I did watch some of it because I was at family that had it on, but I mean, I'm a sports poser at this point. I fully admit it. I'm almost on my way out the door with sports completely and dedicating myself to games and film.
Real sports like Marathon.
The two of you both saw it live.
We're the real sports fans here. We should start our own Ball Junk spin-off podcast because we're the real sports fans.
It's, you make a case there, at least, or replacing me. But the idea, I'm fine with talking about that here if you really wanted to, because sports are games. This is game junk. They are a form of game. There are rules. They are there for entertainment. They fit all the definitions of a game. So they might be like chess, some of our oldest versions of games. So I'm open to it.
I don't want to turn everyone off, but I just want to say it was glorious. Dwy only went for 2 games. I was there for the full 6, like a true fan. So
it was my first March Madness live games. So it was pretty cool.
Now, I bet.
But the ironic thing is you're talking about the March Madness episode of Ball Junk, and there is one. It's just not going to talk about NCAA basketball.
That's right. It's yet to be revealed what it's about. I can't say. And it's the madness of March. We're not allowed to use that term, Sean. It's copyrighted and trademarked. So thanks for that. Probably going to get demonetized now.
All that money we got coming in.
Yeah. But let's get to the real madness of March.
Yeah, let's do it.
Which was the DLSS 5 announcement from NVIDIA. And you know what? I'm going to stand back for now. I'm probably trigger warning to those listening or watching on youtube.com/gamejunk. I will be playing devil's advocate, and not even just advocate. I will be saying some things that I genuinely think, but, this seems to be a very sensitive topic. And I just watching the Digital Foundry video and then their response the next day. How cowardly. It was pathetic watching these guys grovel and apologize for their reaction to this stuff. Absolutely pathetic. They should be ashamed of themselves.
Why don't you give some, high-level overview of what this is in case no one knows what we're talking about right now?
All right. So NVIDIA announced a new DLSS 5 technology. And I'm not an expert, so I apologize if I get anything wrong. Sean, Andrew, please correct me when I make a mistake. What is DLS? It's super sampling, but what does the DL stand for?
I can't remember.
I do not remember that.
That's what's funny about this. No one knows. Deep learning, super sampling. So the idea of deep learning, there is AI technology embedded in a lot of previous DLSS technology, from what I've kind of learned today. So the idea, they showed this tech, they showed games, and obviously there are previous versions of DLSS that have existed, that most of them have rendered the image of a game at a lower resolution to improve performance, and then used sampling and scaling to increase the resolution without a loss of fidelity and give general performance boosts on lower hardware and even better performance boosts on great hardware. And it allows you to unlock other rendering techniques or better shadows, and still, decide where your performance is going, and then have the DLSS kind of improve everything. So this one was a game changer in a lot of ways, because you would see two images side by side with this on or off. And we should be clear, this is like hardware tech. You need to have an NVIDIA video card to do this. I think the demo they showed was using two 5090s to accomplish this. And have they promised it would work with one 5090 or one 5080?
I don't know if they promised it, but I think they said the goal is one 5090.
One 5090. Okay. So, and what it does basically is it uses AI in some capacity. I don't exactly know how, to take a rendered image and apply lighting filters basically to each pixel, and make it look like different lighting sources are there, and basically alter the image to look more photorealistic, in quotes, is probably what they describe. I think the public has differed with that sentiment, but it, on a first glance, it makes it look a lot better, I would say. With ethics aside, going over the details of how the image is changed and altered, it's an impressive tech. I don't think that can be disputed. Whether you think it's should be used for every game, whether you think it's ethical, whether you personally think it looks worse or better, it's impressive. And it really changes the look of a game in such a way that some people, like Digital Foundry, were saying it's the most impressive tech they've seen in a long time. And knowing it was AI, I think they were probably being conservative with that. I think if they just were honest, they would have said, it's the most impressive tech demo we've ever seen. And then people have been reacting to this and saying it looks like AI slop filters, it's ruining games. I think some valid, or it will ruin games. It's some very valid arguments that we'll get into with specifics of artist integrity and changing the intent of artists. Whether that happens with other tech that currently exists, we'll talk about a bit. And it's just kind of a potential, and I think it's a harbinger for, really, as AI gets better, how is this going to change how games are developed? How are they going to look? I haven't heard a lot of talk like this. Like, is there a time where, games are wireframes and it's all produced by AI? Who knows? Or, at that point, will the whole game be just AI driven? We don't know. But they say this is going to release this year. Now, part of the strategy of releasing this information is probably testing the waters with some of that, or how to integrate it with developers, and whether they're on board with it, whether the public's on board with it, and just see where they need to go or course correct. I did see there was one good point in the follow-up video there were lots of good points, but one from Digital Foundry was the idea that how do you share this with developers without it getting leaked? And how do you get their opinions on how to use it or how it should be integrated into games without, someone talking about it or taking the control out of that announcement or tech out of your hands? So I'm sure they will react and change up things potentially with the reaction to this. But that's a pretty valid point as to why it would have been hard to seek out like mass developer opinions and support before announcing the tech. So anyway, I think that's a high level overview of what's happened. Have I missed anything?
No, I mean,
so.
you could mention like, so in the video that everybody's reacting to, the big thing was there was Resident Evil Requiem showing the main character Grace, like the before and after kind of
Not Emma.
look. And then there were a couple other things I saw. I know they were showing like some environments and stuff. But it seemed like that Resident Evil one is the huge one that people are very focused on. Is it better? Is it worse? Like what's going on here? And
I think that is a good one that had very specific reasons in terms of artistic integrity why it was problematic and like maybe changes the game in some ways, which is, I mean, I think it looks better. I think it's almost undeniable that it looks better. Just at a if that's how Resident Evil Requiem was presented to you without having seen the other version, and then they somehow switched back to the other, you say, "Oh, it looks worse. What are we doing here?" But it does change, her expression. Someone on Digital Foundry said, she's going to somewhere she doesn't want to go, and she's kind of scared and hesitant to do this. But the DLSS 5 has kind of made her almost have a smile now. Like it doesn't seem like the emotion of the character is the same. And adding makeup and other features is like changing who this person is in the context of a story and a game, which I think is a very valid criticism.
Yeah.
Yeah. And just on that too, like you're saying, you think sort of objectively it's better. My phrasing would be objectively it looks more realistic. Now I think
sure, I agree.
A lot of the framing of this to me is I think we've hit a point where it is very subjective. Like tech is very strong as it is. A lot of games look great already. Now you're showing something that could be considered more photorealistic, but I think some people are going to react differently to both images. And it's like, oh, maybe I prefer this, maybe I prefer that. And that's part of the debate. Although, there with the character, like the facial stuff, there's a lot of people saying, like they're using the term yassified, which I guess is more like it glams up the character, which I also do kind of see. And you would kind of need to see like a cross section of a lot of different characters to see like, how is this actually changed? Do they all change in that way, or is it just this one? So it's a lot of stuff to dig into, and it's really this one image that everybody's talking about.
Yeah, and in terms of that, on my initial, I don't care that much, to be honest. Like I'll probably have to navigate that when it's a real thing. Probably won't even have to based on the technology it requires. But it's weird to me that like when I first read about it in an article and saw two images, it said it's using in-game assets to do this. And it's basically just simulating better lighting, which I kind of took at face value the first time I read about it. I'm like, oh, well, that sounds like really cool tech. And then pointing out all the differences started to happen. Like the lips specifically on Grace are like a different shape. So it doesn't quite seem like this is just enhancing what's been provided by the game in a different way. I don't think that's accurate anymore. So that is a valid criticism, I think, as well. So, but my counterbalance to that, and I don't know, but I feel like there's lots of, I'm guessing, other DLSS and other things change the way the game looks currently. It's not an exact representation of what artists wanted. It's probably closer, but people add mods to stuff. Where's the outrage over mods? I don't I mean, are designers not artists? Why is it only visual artists whose vision, it's a problem when their vision is changed? People change games completely using mods and play games with mods exclusively, and they add new characters, they change the stats. That's changing an artist's vision when they play a game that way.
I guess the difference would be that that's fan created, whereas this is changing what the sort of quote unquote official version of the game is.
I don't think it is. I think you have to turn that on if you want to use it. I don't think it does it automatically.
Yeah, I mean, now the point we're at now, especially with all this backlash, is you're definitely going to have the option to turn it on or off. And obviously, the tech's going to take a while for everybody to be able to do that anyway. But there is the concern that it is DLSS 5, which makes it seem like this is a big push. This is like their next thing, and it's going to become mainstream, and everyone's going to be using it in a few years. So, but I don't know, Hawk. I'm kind of
me too.
Curious to hear what you have to say, because I know you're really up on a lot of this stuff. So,
well, this stuff I'm not up as much, but I agree with you guys about the faces, especially like changing the expression is strange. Like it's definitely adjusting. And I just went to NVIDIA's website, and they actually have like each of the demos. So they didn't have the Assassin's Creed Shadows one, but you can like scrub the image and see and kind of like quickly compare like the faces and other textures. And my biggest standpoint, I've been watching these videos by Casey Moratori. I don't know if you know who this guy is, but he runs this like company called Molly Rocket, and he like did a lot of work on The Witness with like Jonathan Blow, and he did like a lot of the rendering tech there. Very smart programmer, all about like performance optimization. He's got this series talking about AI, and on the first episode they kind of talked about the title of the episode was like, should we all become carpenters? Basically like give up on our programming jobs and basically just become something more hands-on because AI is taking our jobs. And they were basically, the analogy they were using, which I think is actually very accurate, is that this AI right now is like a dancing bear at a circus. Everyone, first impression is like, oh my God, there's a dancing bear at a circus. This is amazing. But no one really talks about how the dance the bear is doing is shit. So you have like...
Or how they got the bear to dance.
Or whatever. Like, but the fact of the matter that the details, the dance that the bear is doing is not good. It's more that the fact that the bear is doing a dance is what everyone's looking at right now. And that's sort of like what this AI thing is right now. You know, everyone's like, oh my God, it can render this shit from a prompt. This is crazy. But when you actually look at it in detail, you realize like what it renders is really not that good. So like the people that it's taking, the samples are good, but it is changing the initial artist intent, which is a little suspect. Whereas like with DLSS 4, it was mostly just doing the super sampling and making it look better, making it high resolution. So for me, the things that stood out is the faces looked off, though the lighting looked awesome. I will say the lighting, the shading was really cool, really well done. Especially like some of the like shittier Bethesda games, like the Starfield, like those characters were just like definitely different looking and looked so much better. But
my biggest note watching this whole thing was, wow, Bethesda is the luckiest company in the world right now because they're going to get to use this and make their games look way better because they already look so shitty.
Yeah. But for me also, like the environments, if you look at the environments, they didn't look like they were improved that much. Like in the Requiem demo, I think kind of the stuff around her did get spruced up a little bit, but not a lot. It was mostly the lighting. But for me, when I was looking at all of them as a whole, they all seem to have like this very bright lighting applied, almost like a bluish white light that is on everything. And like it was I first noticed it with the Assassin's Creed demo, because when they were doing the scrubbing in that, like all the details that the game developers put into like the shadow maps on the trees that gave it like this really nice look, all got wiped away. It just became this giant ambient like lighting mess, just like all blown out ambient. So yeah, Sean, go for it.
The thing I was going to kind of compare in general, I feel like there's more potential for using it with environments, because I feel like making an environment photorealistic is just like okay, everybody can agree on that. The artistic rendering of trees and leaves, like do people care as much about that? Like, I know probably insulting a ton of environment artists
Yeah,
right
I was
now.
going to say, why is a character artist work more important than an environment artist?
But it is called backgrounds, and like I don't know. I just feel like they could get away with it more. People would be more accepting of it. Faces are the thing that's the uncanny valley that everybody like instantly reacts to.
And with mega textures now, or not mega scans. What is it called? Like the thing that like scans everything super high res that I'm blanking on. PBR, like photorealistic scans, whatever that term is. I'm blanking on right now.
Photogrammetry?
Yeah, photogrammetry. That's it. Yeah, photogrammetry. Like everything looks so realistic in games now. Like I don't know if it could add that much if you got photogrammetry stuff going on.
But the one thing I was going to say is that the images of the environments looked good, but that light thing you're talking about kind of reminded me of like the difference between having your TV in like cinema mode versus like vivid or something. Like it just somehow removes the cinematic quality of some of these images to the point where I was like, I don't know about that.
Man, I hadn't really thought about this is a comparison to filmmaker mode, and it's kind of there. Like you're changing what the artist did. I mean, that happens. There's so many levels of changing what an artist has done. Like that argument doesn't mean as much to me because like there's post-process. There's who knows what type of monitor someone's using. Aside from changing the shape of the lips, the other things don't seem like that big of a deal to me. Obviously, the big deal here is that it's AI, that the AI is associated with it. And clearly people are unable to remove that thought or that bias towards judging this technology. And to go back to the dancing bear analogy, I think it's objectively a very good dance that the bear is doing for the most part. And
well, hang on. I got something that probably will point out that the dance is shit, but continue.
Okay. I'll say one thing about the dance that's, I would critique, but that's not to say overall it's not a better dance. And so something like in Starfield, the shadows changed completely. Someone's wearing a hat and there's a shadow covering part of their face, and that shadow disappears with this new tech. So
that's because that ambient gets bumped up so high. You could tell.
Exactly. So I mean, it alters the image, but if you were looking at it as two images side by side and you asked an average person or even game player which one looks better if you didn't know AI was being used on one, they'd say the DLSS 5 100%. But to me, obviously the question is, how does the bear get to dance? Who's being affected by the bear dancing? And it is an ethical conversation, which I understand. I'm not even saying that's wrong. There are some real ethical quandaries when it comes to AI and where it's allowed to be used and where it isn't. I would posit this question. If this technology existed, and I don't think it's quite the same as, I don't know how it links with generative AI, because it's being compared to filters a lot, and it's more about sampling, right? It's under the DLSS super sampling umbrella. So it's using stuff that's there. It's not, now, I don't know how many other resources they use generatively to develop this tech. But I think within the scale of what's being rendered on screen, it's using existing things. But if an artist developed this game knowing that this tech was going to be used and that's what they wanted it to look like, would it make it okay?
Probably.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing is NVIDIA's also come out and said, hey, there's tons of controls for the artists. They can tweak all these things. And it's like, okay, that sounds good. But
so if the artists do that, is it okay, Sean? If the artists say, no, I want to use this is good.
I mean, I'm fine with it.
So the other thing about this whole like AI, generative AI, depending on how much generative they use, is that because it's one big giant word bubble of whatever token lookup, however the hell the AI works, you're not guaranteed to get the same image every time you run it.
That's what I was going to say, is like knowing how AI works, and they're talking about all these things you can tweak, but like thinking of how hard it is to get an image from generative AI and say, okay, now tweak this. It's like completely different. They change everything else. Like, I don't know, maybe it's not like that, but it just seems like that's going to be real hard to refine to what they want exactly.
Yeah, I wonder if there was internal conversations at NVIDIA to like, I think it is how big of a leap it is. Do you know what I mean? Compared to other stuff, if they were like, should we roll this out over like 5 different versions where it's less noticeable, and then kind of like my own thoughts about how movies and television, like they're making it look bad, so it's harder to tell the difference between AI. Like everything looks so shitty, even like things without AI, that it's all like a plan to make everything look like crap. But that's where this one kind of differs to me. I don't think it looks like crap. I understand ethical dilemmas surrounding it, and I understand reaction to it 100%. But like I see AI videos and I can tell they're AI and they look bad. But that's taking typically a real image and changing it, something that exists in the real world or is filmed, or it's trying to create something that looks like a filmed piece of content, where we already exist in a world where this is like rendered and, you know, not real. It's through an artistic lens already, which also complicates things. So, I mean, we talk about lots of, debates and things that happen in the games industry. And I don't think there's been one as interesting as this that I can remember. Like where like it's game changing. There's valid arguments on both sides. It's like I said, a harbinger of things to come with AI and how it relates to games. The people are so smart, like way smarter than me, obviously, that are thinking about ways to use AI that I never comprehended. And we're not even sure how this is going to change. So it's just like, this is like an announcement and a demonstration that in some ways was the one that I think is going to kick off all future discussions and reevaluate things. It's really interesting to me.
Yeah, I mean the backlash to it as well. I don't think they saw it coming. You know what I mean? Like I don't think like everybody's been supportive of all the DLSS stuff they've done up until now. Obviously, they know that generative AI is a big deal. Like Crimson Desert just got caught using some in their game, and that's kind of pissing some people off. But I think people were on board with NVIDIA. They were on board with everything they've done up until now. And it's interesting, even just looking at like the Digital Foundry guys, like they're watching this thing with the context of, we like NVIDIA, we like things they've done. This is game-changing tech. And I don't know, I just like, I feel like, I'd be real interested to know how many people prefer the after images if they did not know it had anything to do with AI. It was just like a purely comparative between two images. What do you prefer? Like,
well, I have said I prefer the DLSS 5 image, but with the caveat, which Huck kind of brought up, it changes every time. Like while it's moving, what does it look like? We're seeing so little examples of like complicated movement,
I messaged
particle
you guys
systems,
about that.
right? Like
the fact. So I don't know if you saw the one video, but there's a video of a guy basically taking a video from the show floor, and a NVIDIA guy is running the demo for him and flipping the switch on and off. Did you guys see this? I think it was in Skyrim. But
Oblivion, right? Remastered?
Oh, Oblivion. That's right. But so they go to like a specific spot, they wait for a specific thing to happen, and then they turn on the DLSS 5, whatever it's called.
Yeah.
And then they let it sit there for a bit. Then they're like, okay, now we're going to take you to this other spot. They turn it off, walk to the next location, get it all set up how they want, then turn it on. Why don't you just leave it on the whole time? Like, from stepping back from the like ethical argument and looking just at this technology, I don't think it's nearly as ready for prime time as they're making it out to be. If it was ready for prime time, they would have shown you the first like Requiem demo that we saw for gameplay with this thing on.
I agree.
And you didn't see any of that.
Show God of War Ragnarok combat. Like,
show anything.
How does this look during combat? Like effects, tons.
Yeah.
There's all of these videos are like someone moving slowly through a scene with kind of one face.
And the biggest motion of camera was in the Assassin's Creed one, and it was the slowest fucking pan
Yeah.
ever. So, like I was telling you guys, I think there's probably major ghosting going on with any quick camera moments, like or movements. I don't think they know how to solve that yet with the generative AI, because they were saying it's using all the they're saying it's using like all the motion vectors and everything to like calculate everything. Well, if you fuck up the motion real quick, that generative AI or whatever, the DLSS 5 is going to just make that look like Picasso, right? Like if all the motion vectors are just going back and forth super quick, like video game players are going to do, it's going to look like crap. It's not going to know what to do. That doesn't resemble a person's face when you are constantly moving. Like, game players are going to be assholes. They're going to flick the camera all over the place. You think in a first-person shooter, you're just going to like stand there and like slowly look around the corner? No, it's like fast twitch. You're moving the camera all around. I don't think this technology knows how to handle fast motion velocity yet. And I think it's shown by that demo, because you did not get any at all.
Yeah, I
And
agree.
any person walking was like far away, camera stationary with motion that way. It wasn't the camera moving. It wasn't your character moving. There wasn't any like parallaxing going on. I don't think it's ready for prime time at all. I think this was not meant to blow up and not meant to be as big maybe as it became.
Possibly. I will say, when it comes to like this being, I agree, a very scripted demo for the most part, like selective in what they're showing, and will it look that great like just playing a game with it on? That's really the next step. But all the comments we're making, I think, and what the most public comments about this is relating to, okay, assume this works as described, and you play a game with this, and you don't notice weird artifacting or strange stuff and blurring going on, or the image changing in front of your eyes. Like, we're assuming that's going to be fixed. And if that's fixed, is this something that is usable or allowable? Or
I would say in that scenario, I would say it unlocks a lot of extra performance to do other things. So let's say you put in like the basic reflections, just so that the AI knows what you actually want the reflections to look like. Now no longer have to waste any GPU or any CPU on rendering the reflections. Now you've got all that time to do other stuff. Now you're running the game way higher FPS or adding stuff you couldn't fit in before. So I think from like a technology standpoint, it could unlock developers to push the limits of their game a little more if they know that it's going to be consistent in rendering those things. And I think like Sean was saying, like it's going to be good for environments. I think, even motion of swaying trees and stuff. Like if you could tell it somehow, hey, these trees are moving. You no longer have to have shaders calculating the motion and doing all the swaying and, all that stuff. You could just have the AI sort of like spit it out for you. That could be powerful potentially to unlock, more power for developers to drive games forward in some way, or just make it run better. Instead of 30, you're running 60, or instead of 60, you're running 120. So
Sean, do you have something to add about performance specifically?
Not really. I think that to me is the biggest benefit. Like, like I was saying, like, does it look better? I think it's very subjective. It probably is going to get better and closer to something that's, what the artist intended and all of that. But I think freeing up performance, CPU, GPU stuff is going to be huge. So, all
right. So I just want to take a quick step back. We don't have to go too far down this road. I'm just curious if how I view this is the same way you guys view it. And why maybe it doesn't seem like as big of a deal to me as it does to other people. You mentioned the Crimson Desert controversy, right? Which I don't know that much about. But my guess is that 99.5% of all games released currently and going forward use generative AI, whether they are caught or not. Do you agree?
Yes. 100%.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, as something as part of the development process, probably, yeah.
100%. How could you not use it for localizing? How could you not use it for, or like even aside, let me even make a more refined statement. I would guess 100% of companies use it in like pre-production or temporary work, and 99.5% of games ship with content that was used generative AI in some capacity. And the sticking point seems to be visual art, which is where I have like this weird personal hang up where I don't see the difference between written words that are generated by AI versus images. Like, it's taking something someone would have done that would have put thought and effort into. Coders, I have a friend who just says my job now is hitting tab. And like that's what
Doing
they
code
do. Like,
reviews.
it's all jobs are being affected by stuff like this, and it seems to only hit a public consciousness level when it's a visual change. And I don't get that. That's like a me thing. I don't understand the difference. But maybe, do you guys have thoughts on that, or maybe I'm not seeing something from a certain perspective?
I sort of agree with you. So I think the visual aspect that people are concerned about is that it's going to take away jobs. And I sort of see that. But at the same time, like, for me, I use it also as like a much faster search tool, right? So I'm working in Unreal Engine. I know something exists. Like, this is for more senior people, but like a junior person would probably not be able to prompt in this way. But I know something exists, but I can't remember exactly how to do it. I just prompt them. I say, hey, I'm trying to do this. What's the best way to do this exact thing? And it will tell me exactly the thing I sort of remembered how to do, but I no longer had to spend 2 hours digging through the code, reading forums, going through documentation. So I just saved myself 2 hours. And I feel like with the art, because it's more like you could think of it like more final. Like, I can't just say, make me the game, code up the game for me, and it'll just be done. You can't do that yet. But like with art, you can kind of say like, get me a tree and potentially render it in 3D and whatever. And potentially that's final asset. So I think that's where the sticking point is that the art, because there is so much visual, like a library of visuals on the internet that it's scraped and knows about, it's a little scary, and that could, but at the same time, it's that dancing bear thing. Okay, yeah, you can make one tree, but can you make 50 trees that are all cohesive and make sense? So like, I can see it more being used in, let's get the first pass of stuff. That is now the source material for artists. And now artists will take that source material that is generatively created, and they will refine it to make it cohesive and make it work in the game how they want to make it. So I think, and as a whole, right? Okay, yes, it is taking away games, but games are becoming so ridiculously expensive to make. Do we really want them to take this much time and energy to make? If you could get an Uncharted every 2 years instead of every 7, maybe that's too much. But, if you could have a high quality game every 2 years instead of 7 from Naughty Dog, I would probably prefer that. Now, and as a developer, if I could put out a quality product every 2 years instead of every 7, for me as a personal goal, I would prefer that. I would much rather put out 25 games in my career than 5, or, that kind of thing. And now from a publisher perspective, they're spending less money to get a product that will make more money that they can sink into more products. So where is that trade-off? Now, if we're looking short term, yeah, okay, maybe there's less jobs short term, but how many more projects will be able to be greenlit because games take less money to make as a whole, and you can then funnel that money back into more games. It's not like, indie studios, they get a big hit. It's not like they just sit on that pile of cash and like swim through money every day. No, they go and make more games, and publishers spend more money to make more games. So like, I think, and we can get better games. It's not just like slop shit that we're seeing right now. Like I think the platform holders are starting to notice that we shouldn't just put whatever the fuck comes out, whatever people want on there. I like with Sony cutting those like 1,000 games we talked about, like whatever, 10 episodes ago. I think Switch 2, not giving out dev kits to like anybody. Uh, like I think that they're trying to limit their eShop footprint so it's manageable and people know it's on there, they know it's quality. I think there's a more of a push to quality now than just quantity, except on Steam. Steam still throw it all the shit, but like on the other platform holders.
My head is just going in a different direction with this, and obviously relating it to film and television. And the issue being, you know, there's so much stuff that it ends up being none of it is good. It's so rare that something's good. And that with games, they take so much time investment to play already. I don't necessarily think it's better to have a new game every 2 years. I think it could be worse for gaming if more companies would go to business, and that you might end up getting less games in the long run or being dominated by certain companies if that's the path it goes. I don't like, I'm just thinking about this now, so I don't feel that strong about it, but it's almost like it could be a competitive advantage to gaming as an industry to not use AI, because it might actually produce better content in the long run. Maybe not, using it might, in the hands of the right people, could be the way to go. But if everything resorts to using AI, I think we could see a consistent degradation of quality. And don't forget, we're very specific. And the people having a conversation about this are passionate about games and movies when they talk about it in the context of movies. Most people, most normies on the street that play a game once in a while or on their phone do not give a shit. It's just something to do. They don't care about the legacy of it. They don't care about how it was made. Is it fun? Just the way free-to-play games have gone for a long time now. People play terrible games constantly, all day. So that's all it takes to make money, then that stuff could start dominating things.
Well, and I think your point about everything looking the same is why artists will still always have a job, because artists don't want it to look the same. They want it to be unique. That's what I'm saying about they'll have a source of, like, let's say structure, we'll call it structure. And then you got to add the details on top and like the nuances. And I think artists are still always going to have that. And plus, who wants to build a fucking chair? No artist wants to build a chair in Blender or in Maya.
Be careful.
But that's the thing. Like, I think if you sell AI as like, hey, it's automating menial tasks, people are on board with that. But as soon as you start saying, oh, this is doing something creative, it's taking away the integrity, taking away the soul of this art, then people have a problem with it. And I get it. It's just, but like, where do you draw the line? Like, it's one kind of leads to the other. So I don't know.
I understand all arguments relating to AI. It's not like someone says something like, what? I don't even understand how you could say that. Like, it's just where our lines are drawn. They're so arbitrary to me.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it so confusing and hard to navigate. Technology taking jobs away has existed forever. And this one is just at such a high level that it's so obvious, and the impact is so huge that it's changing the world so quickly that it has to be reacted to. So I don't know. It's truly an unknown to me where this stuff is going and what the impacts are going to be. But do you have any more thoughts about it, Sean?
I mean, I was just going to say in general, I want to be optimistic about AI, but I'm pretty cynical over the past year or so, like just seeing the kind of what Huck was saying, like the dancing bear, like the reality of it. It's not quite there. I know it's going to get better. But I am curious if this backlash that's happening now, like I think you're saying, Frank, you think it's kind of like just the hardcore gamers or like the developers. It's not the general public, but I don't know about that. I feel like it is kind of starting to hit mainstream where it's like the general public hears AI and they say, I don't want anything to do with that. Even if they don't really know what that means, like they just, I don't know, there's a negativity brewing.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's undeniable. I think that is like no one could say that there's a general hostility towards, or that there isn't a general hostility towards AI. But I'm going to make this a little personal here, I guess, or get people angry. Best art direction at the Game Awards, winner Claire Obscure. I think stuff like that is going to change in the future. I think, I'm curious to see how art style incorporates AI, and like whether at some point, if I'm sure it'll happen, I don't know when you'll be able to come up with your own art style and have AI create art in that style effectively. That seems like the bigger challenge to me. Like telling an AI to do the art for Hades 2 seems like a much bigger stretch for me than telling AI to do the art for Claire Obscure. And like, I wonder if that's where, and personally, that's what separates art direction for me, like that kind of thought. And I just think like maybe people will vote with their wallet for stuff like Hades 2, or things that look like Hades 2, that feel unique, that stand out from the slop, and it could be an opportunity for art direction in the right hands. But I don't know for sure. And then my super cynical take, and this is with a caveat. The thing with AI is, how fast is it commoditizable? So, there are a million AI engines out there now that generate images. Like in China, there's, tons of them that are updated every week, probably getting better every day. And, it almost is becoming worthless in some ways, like what commoditizable means. But is there an advantage? All I could think about was Microsoft. If Microsoft, or this was my idea for testing whether people are actually for or against this technology. If Microsoft said, we have the exclusive rights to DLSS 5 on the Project Helix, and only our games can use this technology, and our developers are aware of it, they're okay with it, and it's going to make our games look better than everyone else. Would that be a competitive advantage for them? And do you think it would improve their sales and give them a niche that no one else would have? Now, the caveat for that is, how often will everyone be able to create a competitor for DLSS 5? And then it becomes irrelevant that you own exclusive rights to that tech. But just entertain that question for a second. I'm chewing imaginary gum for the listener.
It's hard to, because right now all I could say is like, well, that's, if they announce that tomorrow, that's not going to be good for them. People are going to be angry.
People will say whatever they want. When the console ships and its games look better than everyone else's, to a common person who doesn't really care about the ethics of this stuff, will it sell better? And will it be a competitive advantage for selling their console?
I don't know. It's a big if, that it's got to look clearly better. And
I think the answer is, of course it would, if price is not a factor.
Yeah.
It's possible. People are against it right now.
If I was the new CEO of Microsoft, start thinking about it. Yeah, like people will not care in 5 years. I know there are people care. I care. It's not like I don't care. It's not like I think it's inherently a good thing that AI is taking everything over. I don't even think, for the fact that I think some things objectively look better in this demonstration and some don't. I think to most people, if that choice was given to people, they would vote with their wallets, and they don't think about stuff like that. And that's what's going to determine everything. And I would agree that that's a bad sign of things to come. I'm not saying that's good. I'm saying that's what's going to happen. And I don't know. It's kind of scary. I don't disagree that it's scary.
This is, we could talk about this for hours, I'm sure.
It's so much fun.
But the one thing that, like, this is not really related to anything, but like I was reading about DLSS 5 and I was on like a Reddit thread, and somebody had posted a link to like an article of somebody who was in support of it and was like basically laying out, here's the things it does that are actually beneficial. And I was reading the comments, and all the comments are like, oh, that article's AI generated. People are like, yeah, you can tell because it uses all these big words and proper grammar. I'm like, no, it's just well written. But like, It's just so weird, the point we're at now where it's like people think they know what's AI generated and don't necessarily know, but like it's crazy.
I mean, that is the scariest thing I've heard all day relating to AI, probably, that if you use big words, it's AI.
Yeah.
Like, we are fucked universally either way. So I might as well get some good looking games out of it, I guess. But I don't know. This was, what did I call it? What was my terrible hybrid word for Megaton and Debacle?
Debaton?
Debacle-ton?
Yeah.
It's a
Debacle-ton?
Debacle-ton. It's a Debacle-ton. And I'm really curious to see where this goes. I mean, the next interesting shoe to drop is going to be how NVIDIA reacts. And I'll put this out there. If they react at all, I have a feeling the CEO is going to say, nope, we are.
So I have noticed that the CEO is on a lot of podcasts recently, but I haven't listened to any of them. So I should probably listen to them and see what he's saying.
He has said some stuff trying to defend it, like the whole thing about, the artists having more control and all that stuff. But I mean, my prediction, and you guys are saying that you don't think this is even ready for prime time. They're going to delay it, obviously, and that works in their favor. They're going to have more time to make it better. Yeah. But I don't know how much they're going to have to delay it.
And like we've already talked about a bit, having developers choose where it's used and where it isn't, and working with them to what's acceptable could be a workaround for this type of thing, and allowing, as everyone said, to free up resources performance-wise, or just resources for completing games faster, or with other areas improving. Which is the generic, pro AI stance on everything, right? It just frees up people's time to focus on other things. But I don't know. I'm really curious to see how NVIDIA reacts. And I don't think it's going to be like Digital Foundry. I think they're going to kind of commit to it. And
well, I mean, the other thing we haven't really touched on is that obviously NVIDIA benefits from use of AI in any way possible. So, a lot of people are
that's
very cynical about that. That's why they're pushing this, like not because it's better, but because they just want more AI out there.
Yeah, and it's obviously better for their bottom line because they're deeply invested in AI. So that's also a really good point. It's all about that quiddly. I forget that sometimes. We're talking about artistic integrity and what's going to be the best game. Most people couldn't give a shit about it. It's like, what's going to make my investments go up? And that also means we're fucked. All right, we're fucked. Welcome to the future. Okay, any other thoughts on this? I'm sure there's angles we haven't thought of. Yeah, I think I could literally talk about it all day, and it just gets exhausting at a point, but not because you don't have more to say. It's just like you got to move on. You eventually have to move on from the AI discussion, or you do it forever. Okay, let us, I'm sure there's angles we haven't considered, or one more thought. I think why the NVIDIA CEO is going to stick to it is a bit less about the financial and corporate aspect of it. And the Digital Foundry reaction is all you need to know. They were losing their mind over this until people said anything to them. And then they changed their minds. That is like, a gut reaction, a true barometer of what people think of the technology. And of course, people will change their mind once people get mad at them and they say things, but how they reacted is all you need to know. And that is like the summary of AI in general, in my opinion.
Yeah, but the thing is, their whole angle is they cover exciting new emerging tech. They're predisposed to want to be excited about this. That is the one slight wrinkle.
They'll be like going over, this looks great, but you can see like a little problem here, or they go over things inside. This was not that reaction. This is incredible. This is the best thing we've seen in who knows how long, and that was their gut. So that's what most people's gut is going to be. So that's all you need to know. Whether the world revolts or not, I don't think they will, but we'll see. I could be wrong. All right, let's get into what we played. Oh, I guess youtube.com/GameJunk if you want to comment and let us know. Or do we need an AI debate channel on the Discord?
Probably.
If we could talk about it all day, let us know. Discord link on youtube.com/GameJunk as well. All right. Is there a game we should start with first for what we played?
I don't know.
Well,
Commando?
Let's go to Huck. Huck has a Game of the Year contender.
Game of the Year candidate. That's right. So I beat Under the Island. I think I talked about it last week. I think I was a couple hours in. So I finished it. Took me about 8 hours. And I really, really like this game. The pacing of it is great. Never felt lost. Even after, sometimes the map is a little, they don't give you as much information as maybe you would like. So you kind of have to wander around a bit. And even then, there's enough shortcuts and stuff built into the map where you're never too far from getting back to another area. There is a little bit of a fast travel system. But my only critique on the game is that the combat is not as tight as like a Zelda game. So you could tell in Zelda, when you're doing a 3-swing combo, every swing is going to hit, and it kind of is lined up perfectly, and the knockback is set in just a way that it feels great every single swing. Whereas in this one, I find that usually the first 2 hits connect, and then your third hit misses almost every time. And it's such a letdown. And it's really just like, I think the character knockbacks or the enemy knockbacks is just a little too far. And even if you're holding like in the direction of the enemy, it doesn't make you travel enough in that direction for the third swing in the combo to hit. And the third swing is kind of a heavier attack. So that is my only critique. It basically makes
your third swing useless.
It does to a certain extent, unless there's like a big clump of enemies around and you happen to hit them. So, or it's like a big boss that's stationary kind of thing. There's a couple bosses like that where, you kind of like knock them out or whatever, and then you can kind of lay into them. So that's the only case where it comes in handy. But for regular enemies, it's almost non-existent. You might as well not even press the button the third time. So really, like, that is my only critique of this game. Like, if they had just buttoned up that third combo swing and the knockback associated with the first 2 hits, I think this game would be really something special. And it's just like a fun adventure. Like, I think I read it was kind of like, an homage to the original Zelda and stuff like that. And it kind of feels like that. It's just an adventure. You just go and explore this island and see what you find. And there's a lot of good stuff in this game. So at 8 hours, it's very approachable. So and the art style is great. Enemy design is pretty good. So I would say give it a whirl. There's a couple memorable kind of like fights and boss fights and stuff like that in it that are neat. So highly recommended for anyone who likes, third or whatever this game would be called, 2D adventure game, action adventure game.
Top-down Zelda-like.
Top-down Zelda-like. There we go. Highly recommended.
I think it's on sale right now, right? Steam.
I would think so. With the spring sale going on?
Spring sale, yeah.
I would think probably.
I just bought it, but I bought some like bundle that was discounted, so I didn't double check.
Currently 20% off.
Excellent. Nice. Perfect time to buy.
All right, Sean, should we talk John Carpenter's Toxic Commando?
I think we have to.
And mention on patreon.com/filmjunk, there is a Film Junk Plays of Sean and myself and Scott playing Toxic Commando. You can check out there. And it's, a Left 4 Dead like, and it's through the mind and genius of John Carpenter.
Depending on how much he actually was involved at all.
It's shooting a lot of zombies and probably most comparable to Black Ops 6, or sorry, Black Ops 7 zombie mode, the first map, which had a vehicle that you kind of take through the level. And this, you are using vehicles a lot more and using them to go through a map. And it's a little different from Left 4 Dead. It's not like a progression through a level, so to speak. You're presented with a map and goals, and you really have to be evaluating the map and to some degree managing resources and realizing we're going to need this thing to go over there and find a vehicle. And like, it's a little more planning and strategy, I would say, than something like Left 4 Dead in terms of how you approach a level or goals.
Yes.
Does that sound fair? Yeah.
Yeah, which we didn't really know initially. So, I mean, that's the problem, is there's things called spare parts, which are used to like open caches of weapons, and they're used to activate turrets and things like that. And so you kind of will get to the end of a level where inevitably there's like a giant horde of zombies coming at you, and you're making a stand, and you really kind of need those turrets. Otherwise you're screwed. So it pays to explore and kind of pick up stuff along the way, but it's almost like not optional in some ways. But yeah, it's pretty fun. I enjoyed it. I think the vehicle adds a lot to it, because you've got somebody driving, you've got people hanging out the windows. Sometimes somebody's on a turret on the top of the vehicle, depending on what vehicle it is. You've got zombies kind of jumping on and grabbing onto the vehicle, and then there's, I guess there's mud, but there's also sludge is a big thing in this game, like a toxic sludge. That's where the toxic Commando name comes from. So sometimes you're driving and you kind of get stuck, and then you got to use a winch to try and pull yourself through. So there's lots of little interesting angles from those mechanics. There's 4 different classes of player that you can be. There's like sort of a striker, I think it's called, which is like the main kind of offensive guy. There's a medic. There's a defender, which I think has a shield. And then there is operator, which I think is more the driver, but I don't actually know what his ability is. But yeah, so 4-player co-op. It seems like that you are playing through a story of sorts. Like Left 4 Dead was more like, here's your 5 different scenarios, pick which one you want to play and go. This seems like it's like a progression through a story, and there are cutscenes and things, and it's kind of a ridiculous B-movie story, but kind of fun. And
can I add one thing on this topic of progression?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's added like insane progression systems. Like, there's so many skill trees and leveling up guns and attachments. And I personally found it to be like burdensome, the level of progression that you had, and how slow it is. Like, we did a full round, and then I went to the hub world after, and I really couldn't upgrade anything. Like, if that's how slow progression is, and that seems like a really bad idea to me. Like, you'd want to go into a next run with a new power that makes it novel, or, hey, it's fun to keep doing these things, especially when you fail a mission, because now I'm doing it with some other competitive advantage, not basically running it back the same way, which I'd say that is my biggest criticism of the game. Too many progression systems.
Yeah. I mean, it's especially like what you're saying, like after your first run, you should be getting something, you should be kind of starting to learn these systems. And I still don't really know what half of it is. I guess maybe that adds some sort of longevity to the game, but
which we talked about on the stream was kind of the problem with Back 4 Blood. Everyone is so excited, or was excited, for that game that I remember. And then you get in and the whole thing starts with like picking cards and understanding how these cards work and power-ups. And it's like, all of these games are failing, which is shocking to me, to capture the magic of Left 4 Dead, which is the scenario. It was a movie poster. You enter it. It's like emergent gameplay that feels like your version of generating this movie or episode or whatever it was. And like, that's the appeal of it. I don't know why no one understands that.
Yeah, no, that's a good point.
But all that being said, I actually thought it was much better than I thought it would be. Like when this game was first announced, and even to some degree the name JC associated with it, it actually gave me pause. And then you guys tried it first, and you're like, yeah, it's kind of fun. And I'm like, okay, I'll bend on this one, or break, I should say. And I was like somewhat pleasantly surprised. It's kind of fun. The gunplay generally feels good. I would say it's a little jank. You know, it's not perfect. And as an example, the vehicle stuff, the same thing in Black Ops 7 is way better. Like, it just feels better to do all that stuff in Black Ops 7. And interacting with things like hitting square to pick something up or enter the car is literally the worst part of the game. That should be the easiest thing to do. It's so annoying just trying to do like basic hitting a button next to something to pick something up or drop something. So I just don't know how that could be, that bad in this game.
Yeah, I feel like part of it is that some things you have to hold X or square, I guess it would be. Some things you tap it, and it's like kind of sometimes you don't know which is which. So you tap, but then you're like, oh, it didn't work because I was supposed to hold. And
yeah, that happens a lot.
Yeah.
So it is decent though. I don't want it to sound like it's a completely unfun experience and as we started to understand the systems, the first run I had was pretty rough, but I was entering on a second level rather than the first. And I was just like, okay, I don't know about this. But then once you understand the need for strategizing more, it gives it a little more depth even, and it makes it a bit more fun. So it's, for the price, $50, it's pretty reasonable.
Yeah, and I mean,
that's
a lot of the
go ahead, sorry.
A lot of the enemy types feel like Left 4 Dead type zombies. Yeah. So I definitely, if you like Left 4 Dead, give it a look. Some
of the enemies did feel like, are we even damaging this thing? And like, what's especially that first time we played. So I don't know. It's good though, and probably like Crimson Desert, I'm sure there'll be patches and stuff like that to make it a bit better. That is kind of, and to me, it's kind of grosser than AI in some ways, like how games are being shipped now and fixed after the fact. And
yeah,
I'll get to my marathon stuff in a bit, but I don't know. I feel like people's concerns about patches are starting to be realized, like how games are shipping incomplete and like drastically changing games after the fact for the good and the bad. It's a weird place to be.
Yeah.
All right, John, you got anything else?
Well, I'll mention, following up on the game Huck was talking about, I've got a Zelda-like that I played through, and it's a pretty short one. It's called Ratcheteer DX. Now, it was originally released for the Playdate, so it was like a black and white game, and it used that crank thing for there's like a light mechanic where you have like a lantern and you have to kind of crank the crank to keep the light going, I guess. But they've changed it for this Steam version. I think it might be on consoles or at least the Switch as well. But on consoles, you basically just have a button turn on or off the light, which I assume is actually better. But the one thing that sucks is that a lot of the levels are, because of this light, you kind of can only see around the character. And I found that some of the levels I was just getting lost a lot because I could only see part of the room at a time. But again, it's a pretty short game, so whatever. But I enjoyed it. It was, trying to think of what else is kind of unique about it. But, it's pretty much a Zelda-like, and it's the music I thought was really good, actually. Some bangers, you might say, on the score, although they repeat a lot of the same like scores for like every dungeon is the same, but it was a good song, so I was cool with it. Boss fights were a little bit disappointing. It was kind of like I died a few times because I was like, I don't know what I'm doing here. But then as soon as you figure it out, it's like almost trivial. So, yeah, check it out. It's pretty good. And I think it's pretty cheap too. So
Cool. I'll just quickly mention I started playing, I'm about a quarter of the way through Uncharted Drake's Fortune. I introduced the kids to Uncharted and they are hooked. So when they found out there was like 4 games plus that DLC pack, very excited. So this game's still amazing. I think I looked it up 2007. So almost 20 years old at this point, still just an incredible experience. Yeah, I mean, the kids were like on the edge of their seat while we're playing it together. It was so exciting. So still holds up. Real good. Real good. No question about one of the top games ever.
I mean, you say it holds up, but at the time, people were like, it's okay. It's
I know.
made. It's kind of like only one person was
I
like
remember.
running around telling everyone how amazing it is. And this is the future of games.
And only one person was listening to that person.
That's right. Yeah, just have to point that out every time we talk about that game. All right. So I played Death Howl. It is a card-based strategy game, but its pitch, I think, is like it's a Souls-like version of that. So it's really hard.
it's like a Souls-like deck builder. Is that?
Yeah, Souls-like deck builder, but it's kind of got a campaign and areas and like an epic feel to it, although I'm not at that level yet. And it's, the premise is you're like a woman whose son has died and been taken by the spirit world, and you're trying to get him back, basically, is what I got out of it. And then you're kind of in this kind of nature environment that's surreal and dark and fighting enemies using cards. And I'm just kind of getting into it. I really have been enjoying this week card-based strategy games. I played Slay the Spire 2, so I'd kind of sworn off demos and committed myself to demos you pay for. That's a new bold strategy of mine. And I was loving Slay the Spire 2 so much that I went back and started playing Slay the Spire 1 because they're very similar. I don't know if I'm going to talk about it yet because I haven't played 2 that much, but I'm surprised at how similar it is to part 1. But I found the combat initially in this game kind of like simple and digestible and fun. But honestly, the more I keep playing it, it's kind of frustrating. So you can die in a battle and you're collecting these things called death howls. That's the equivalent of souls. And if you die in a battle, the good thing is you just start outside that battle again. You don't have to like retrace your steps to get there. It's whatever your stats were, you go back and you can re-enter the battle, and your death howls are there on part of the grid, and you have to get it back before the enemies do. And that generally works. But every time you enter the battle, because it's card-based, you have a hand, and it's different RNG every time. So it feels like you're not, like you can't really prepare effectively other than customizing your deck before a battle. And, you're kind of at the mercy of RNG, and, you enter it and it's like, oh, this time I got great starting cards. Like, so I have a better chance of doing it this time.
Isn't that deck builders in general though? Like
it is, but I mean, this one, the focus is difficulty and kind of being punishing if you fail. Right. So it's like, okay, so sometimes I'm like, well, should I just fail right away, start over and see if I get a better RNG when I enter this realm? But obviously the punishment is you lose your death souls or your death howls. But I don't know, stuff like that seem like weird decisions to me and just kind of is annoying. But the other thing, I find it really cumbersome, like backing out, like making a choice and not knowing whether you're selecting the grid or a card or discarding a card, because sometimes you have to discard cards. And I feel like the user interface and user experience for that is very unintuitive. And the worst part of that for me, hands down, is to see an enemy's health. You have to like literally navigate to that square the way you would move to see how much health it has. There's a feature of like hitting a trigger to show the state of the whole battle, but it does not have enemy HP unless I'm missing something, or it's a power you get lately or later. And that just drives me crazy. Like, you can't properly evaluate the battlefield. So, I mean, I'm kind of compelled by it, but I feel like I'd much rather at this point go back to Slay the Spire 2 or Mugenics, which I haven't given enough time to either. So if I want to scratch this kind of new itch I have for these types of games, I don't think it's going to be Death Howl. But if you love these kind of games and you like probably difficult ones or a different take on it, I think people should take a look at this game and give it a chance. I got it from the library, and maybe I'll return to it. I'm not sure.
It is on Game Pass as well.
Oh, it is? Okay, I didn't know that. Yeah, so if you're on Game Pass and you like these kind of games, you should definitely give it a look.
Yeah, I mean, I was curious, but the Souls-like thing, I was like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that's of interest to me, but
the positive side of that is it's not like a Souls-like where you have to have amazing reflexes. It is still, well, I mean, even Souls-likes are this to some degree, but reducing a genre down to its like an intense version of its mechanics. So, and I think the difference is why it's kind of better than other Souls-likes for the most part is in terms of frustration level, or it mitigates frustration level, is because when you fail, you're right where you were and you can decide, do I want to do that again or not? Or do I want to try something else? And there's pretty decent fast travel mechanics in the game as well. So it is kind of I'm kind of in the middle on it. There are things I really like about it, and then other things that just get on my nerves. So if they've kind of fixed some of that stuff with patches, I would probably return to it, especially the HP thing. I mean, you literally can check every enemy on the board. You just have to move to it, and it's also based on, obstacles. So if you want to move to it, you literally have to like go around obstacles to get to move it. It's not like some godlike cursor where you can hover over things. It's really frustrating. Just show HP and status of all enemies. When I hit the trigger, I'll play your game.
You sure that's not like a card you get later or something like that?
I don't know. Even if it is, bad decision. Really bad decision, in my opinion. Okay. Next up.
Me, I think.
Huck, you're done?
I got nothing. Yeah, I got nothing else.
Okay, I played a bit of a game called Chroma Zero. This was, again, I think it was up for one of those Thinky Awards or something. It was where I first kind of heard about it. But it's a puzzle game. I would kind of compare it to kind of like Antechamber, if you've played that game, kind of in terms of the visuals. Like, it's sort of an abstract colors and shapes first-person game. But there's also a time loop element, which I guess is kind of influenced by Outer Wilds, which I haven't played. I really think I need to play this game because so often games that I like end up being compared to it. But the time loop thing is like controllable. So it's like you play for a bit and it's very, like I said, abstract. You're not quite sure what you're trying to do. You touch a button, you're kind of trying to see what that does. But at a certain point, you get to a point where it's like you can't do anything else. Like, you've kind of hit a dead end, and then you hit a button to restart the whole thing and reset and then try again. And I assume the way it works is once you've figured out the proper order to do all these things, you just beat the game. I don't know how long it would take to do that. But like, I'm starting to put together.
Outer Wilds is like to some degree, right? You're getting information, so you can make a journey that you know exactly what to do. And I guess that's kind of what Blueprints is like to some degree without the RNG. But can you say the name of it again?
Chroma Zero, 2 words. And not too much else to say. Like, I'm starting to figure out, how things work. But I'm also kind of like at the point where I'm like, I could probably use a little, like, I don't know, I might look up some stuff just because I don't know how long I want to be bumping around in the dark with this game. But I do like it. So
it looks
into these
visually
games,
a lot better than I anticipated. It's got it kind of reminds me of a 3D lit Thomas was alone to some degree, like using simple shapes and to create an effective art style. So I'm intrigued. It's on sale on PSN right now. I assume you're playing on Steam.
I am, yeah.
Okay. And were you playing that what was the Rocketeer DX on Switch or on Steam?
On Steam.
Okay. And yeah, this Chrome Zero looks. Apparently, it's a last year game. It released in 2024.
Yeah.
And I'm curious to see what you think of Outer Wilds if you try it, because I gave it a shot and I kind of liked it, but I just hated the jetpack controls. That was my biggest barrier to entry. You have to use like a propulsion kind of control system to navigate space, and I always struggle with that kind of stuff. So.
Yeah, it's on my list. I just keep putting it off, but I should at least try it one of these days.
All right, I'm just going to talk about Marathon a bit. So I was in love. I found the game I wanted to play for the rest of my life. I had 100 hours in. I played it. I couldn't stop playing it. I would say literally addicted to it. I would do one more run until 6 a.m. and have to pull myself away from it. And then they dropped patch 1.0.0.5, I believe. And
yes.
It changed everything. Everything changed. It was never the same between us. And I think they adjusted sound and how far, I assume they adjusted enemy AI a bit, although I didn't see it in the patch notes. I just get shredded in this game now. Like, I can't do anything. I understand it's a hard game. I used to fail a lot, but I would also have success. I am never successful anymore. Even the AI destroys me now. If one AI sees me, it's just one after another that hears the sound, floods into the room, and then that leads to either someone else killing me. And it's just like, first of all, the stealth mechanics are not strong enough to support this design decision. Like, there's no really great effective way of hiding in this game. All you have is crouching. So, I mean, some classes have some stealth abilities, but for the most part, if you're seen, you're toast. And you don't have great ways of not being seen for a lot of the classes. So, I mean, it's really changed. I'm like, every day I'm like, I'll try it again. Maybe it was just a bad day. And every day I'm like, no, I don't know if I guess I have to switch to maybe squads, because solo is unplayable for me at this point. With my skill level anyway, I will concede it might be a skill level thing. But the fun, the passion, the love, the joy, it's been taken from me.
I mean, at 100 hours, you shouldn't be getting smoked so badly. Unless your rank is like so high that you've been put into some super insane difficulty level.
That's been on my mind too. And part of it, I think, is as the game, it's been out for a few weeks now, and it's just opened the door for more, I think I said on the Discord, players who are assholes to be more assholey on the game. They just like camp exfils and like want to shred people when they get the chance. And it's not fun anymore. There's no other way to say it other than I don't have fun playing it anymore. And I'll be curious to see. I looked on Reddit and everyone seems to love the patch, but then on the Discord, everyone kind of agreed with me. Like, it feels like a different game and it's very frustrating. And gamers I trust on the Discord are saying the same thing. So I don't know. I haven't heard a general sentiment that this patch changed the game definitively, but that's what it felt like to me. And it really got me thinking about like how sensitive, like a game like this is. One change completely changes the game. Like, how hard is it to balance and test this game? I don't know how they do it. It's kind of scary. I can't imagine having a live service game where the smallest thing you do could have ripples that I would love to know how this affected their player base, if it's gone up or down, and how much money changing the hearing distance of something, what the bottom line financially is for that. Like, it's crazy that's literally what you're deciding when you make these design decisions. So just kind of a fascinating aside to these types of games.
Yeah, I'm curious why did that need to change? Like, was there something specific they were trying to fix with that? Like, it's clearly a complex system, and obviously you're trying to deal with, for me, like, I've not played it that much. I was enjoying playing it, but you put like, way more hours in than me now. So it's like, what does that mean? Like, how do I team up with you? How do I still have fun while you want to have fun? And then who does it match us with? Like, it's just crazy. Like, I don't know how it's a problem that really doesn't have a solution in a way.
How do you review games like this? Like, I loved it 2 weeks ago. Now I hate it. How does that, it's the same game. Well, what do you do with that? I don't know. Where does it factor in my top 10 list? If it's my most played game of the year and I hate it now, what am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
Like, do I talk about when I once loved this game? It was on my top 10 list. It's very strange.
Do you remember when the patch was released?
It was last week. So last Wednesday, I think.
Okay.
And, from what I've seen, the response has been very positive, which was shocking to me, which makes me think I'm not the target audience, ultimately, for this game.
So I'm looking at the Steam charts for players, and it peaked in like the first week at like 88,000 concurrent players, and it's been dropping off. But
is there a spike around Wednesday or Thursday?
No, I don't really see anything. Like, it's pretty just like consistently going down. There was a bit of a spike up on Friday, but that could just be like more people play on Saturday
or weekend. Like they bought it for the weekend or something.
Yeah, but it's consistently so that peaked at 88 and it's hanging at about 49, 50 right now, 50,000. So it's like, it's definitely going down, trending down, but there was no like, cratering drop off around that patch.
And I have a feeling this is a patch for, my guess, I don't know for sure, for squads. Like, it's better for squads. And like for solos, I didn't realize how many solo players spawn on one map each time. It's like 9 or 11 on some of them. And I'm like, in solos, it's a completely different game. So I don't know if they're going to experiment with, I don't know how you change the listen distance. Like, to me, the solution is just have less people spawn on solos, but I don't know if they're willing to do that. Because then you have more space and more time to explore and less people coming to destroy you every time. But I don't know what to do. It's very weird.
But like the other thing with these kind of games, though, like you kind of mentioned the people who are just playing them to be assholes. Like that is part of the appeal, I think, of some of these games. I mean, I guess any PvP game really, but they're like, I'm sure there's people who are playing and don't even really care about the progression. They just want to show up and raise hell basically. And like, is that who the game's targeted towards?
Yeah,
I assume it's not, but like maybe
I kind of think it is. Like, maybe the eventual solution is really parsing out game modes and options for how you want to play. Because I like the looting and kind of being quiet and not engaging in PvP, and it doesn't even feel like an option anymore. So and like the PvP is a threat, but I'm trying to avoid it, and I can't avoid it anymore. So it's not fun anymore for me. So we'll see if it changes or how they adapt for that. I'm still gonna keep giving it a shot here and there, but man, I cannot remember a game in the history of my life where I've gone from like literally loving it and being addicted to it to not want to playing it at all. Like it feels like, oh my God, I'm just doing it to give it another chance, not because I really want to. And I want to recapture what was there. It feels desperate. I'm like, I just want what I had before, but it's gone forever. But the good news is it's not gone forever. It's not like a real love or relationship. It could come back to the thing it used to be. Literally could be the thing it used to be. So there's still hope.
Yeah,
there's
like
still a chance.
3 years from now, the next season will be like OG marathon or something.
Marathon classic. And I'm like, finally, I can return. And I just want to mention one more thing. I know we're running long. Kirby Air Riders is the greatest. I could play Kirby Air Riders all day. And if you want a positive thing, just with games in general, there are games that if I had unlimited time, I could play them all day. One of them is Kirby Air Riders. And I can't play this all day. I need to play new games. I need to do something different. And I'm getting that way with Mario Kart World. And I have so much fun playing it. And I just wish there was better online progression systems and more meta elements. But the core gameplay and Knockout Tour, the Battle Royale Mario Kart, might be my favorite version of like just playing Mario Kart ever. I love it.
You're addicted to kart racers, eh?
I literally love these two games. They're so good. And just please, if you're a person of wealth and you have funds and a Switch 2 and you don't care that much about, spending money on a game and never playing it, Kirby Air Riders is expensive, but it is so good. There is so much content. It is so well balanced. It is beautiful to look at. It needs to be played more and it needs to be talked about more. It is so good. I think there's a demo. Maybe there isn't. They need to put a demo out for this game, a timed demo where you can actually play it for an hour and do everything it has to offer. Top ride, air ride, or they need a free to play weekend or something like that, because I feel like playing is believing with this game.
Yeah. I mean,
get it from the
Nintendo needs to do
library,
more
Sean.
demos.
Get it from the library.
Yeah, I'll take a look. Actually, that's a good idea.
That's it. Yeah, for people not of wealth, consult your local library for the Switch 2 copy of Kirby Air Riders. All right, Sean. Anything else for you?
Nope, that's it for now.
Okay. Well, thanks for sticking with us for this episode. It was a longer one, I think. We'll see what the AI debacle we have is after this, if there is any. But feel free to join the discussion on youtube.com/GameJunk and on the Discord. The link is in the YouTube as well. And give a look at patreon.com/FilmJunk if you haven't, to check out our new format. Anyone else have anything they'd like to promote or put out into the world?
Nope.
Nope. Any big releases this week, game-wise? I don't think so, right?
I don't remember. I don't
Heard
think
there was a big Crimson Desert patch today that improved a lot of stuff. Anyone getting close to popping on Crimson Desert?
That's a library game, if ever there was one.
It is currently not even on order at my library yet, so I'm also waiting for the library. So we'll see where that goes. I am intrigued, though. I don't want to play. It's not like I'm stopping myself from playing it. I'm intrigued, but I'm like, it's 300 hours, jank. Not for me, but with patches, maybe I'll get there. All right. Thank you for listening or watching. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.